We invited 7 Albertans to participate in this video, to create a piece of art while sharing stories and experiences.
So my name is Stacy, and I'm a mixed media collage artist, and I believe that art is a beautiful way to tell a story and possibly change some perspective or gain perspective. For this project, we're going to be making one piece that is going to be symbolic of your experience and feelings prior to the incident, and then another piece that will tell a story of how you felt afterwards. This will be done through choosing imagery that you think or you feel a connection to with the feelings that you felt prior to the incident and then after the incident. Take a look and choose a few each, and I will be taking the imagery that you choose and doing my best to combine those images into each piece to best try and tell your story collectively.
These stories are all of ours to own, so we decided to put them in a jar and have each person draw a story to share.
I chose this bird, and I think when I see this rundown house, I think of how free I felt.
The classmate. I took a culture course with the multinational students as a part of my degree. A Nigerian classmate, hailing from a less exposed society, approached for insight on LGBTQIA plus culture and relationships. When a Caucasian faculty member in a position of power overheard, they deemed our conversation inappropriate for a professional setting.
It's my story. A classmate of mine is asking me questions about what is being LGBTQ means. Me as a gay guy in a culture class, I felt like there's huge hypocrisy. I wasn't even allowed to say my own story. They want to penalize somebody who they deem was homophobic. That professor, literally have power over me. This is racial segregation. We are in an academic setting. As a colored person, I cannot label an experience that I actually experience.
It's so wild how often our stories become an organization story. And it's like contorted into something that it wasn't even to begin with. And you never get your voice heard, even though the experience is yours.
It becomes their own personal cautionary tale of what not to allow the next time.
If you are passionate about something, or you do, you get targeted too.
I felt so stupid. She was asking me, does she came from a background LGBTQ is criminalized, so she haven't met any LGBTQ+.
She was trying to learn
She was
in an academic environment.
Yeah, and she wanted to be an ally.
And so it was no longer about you, it was about them.
The tornado scene in this represents that feeling of not knowing where you are. There's darkness, and there's just a little bit of light that you know you have in yourself.
The date. I went on a first date with someone who seems charming. We were both immigrant Canadians, and I had high hopes until he revealed himself to be a racist. I tried to hear his perspective, but knew there was no point when he confidently stated, well, Hitler was right. He obviously didn't know I was Jewish.
This is my story. I have struggled with not knowing when to reveal this part of my identity as someone who is very white passing when you're getting to know somebody. When is it safe? It was really scary having him not know and then hearing these things. It was so confusing as how you can feel so confident saying that to somebody that you don't know.
Everyone knows what Hitler did.
I think a lot of people don't talk about the dating aspect and how you're opening yourself up to another person's belief or another person's stereotypes. And sometimes people leave those dating situations traumatized.
I want to be proud of my culture and, how I've grown up and what I believe in, but I also have to keep myself safe first, so.
That's brave. That's brave. That's your story.
Your mind comes, let's go back. I don't fit in the society, we don't fit in the community.
The Slurpee. I was 7 or 8 years old when I first encountered racism while celebrating a friend's birthday with Slurpees. As we entered the convenience store, 2 adults, one an employee, looked at us with disgust and stated loudly, "Does it suddenly smell like curry in here?"
That's my story. Me and my friend were in a joyful moment. We walked into the convenience store, and I remember being stunned. And then it derailed into feeling really embarrassed and wanting to disappear. You're always going to be othered. You can be Canadian in this context. We all want to, eat your food. But whenever you try to be a part of this culture, you're going to be reminded that you're not.
I've been told I smell like a garlic. They love the food.
Yeah.
They want to have the butter chicken, but they still want to make a comment.
Make sure you don't smell this way. It starts at a Slurpee and it ends with your shelter.
The question is what being Canadian is, right? Being Canadian is everybody.
Nobody should be made to feel othered, especially at 7 or 8 years old.
My brother and I stopped eating our food because it smells. It will smell like fish in the house, and our jackets will smell fish. But my parents were proud Filipinos.
We had to make sure, okay, our clothing is kept separately. If we're cooking something extra spicy, it has to be made in the garage.
I actually stopped eating Indian food till I was 23.
How beautiful it is that a lot of you are still very intact. You can go to China, you can go to France, you can go across the pond and learn many different languages. But even us as Indigenous people on our own land here, we can't just go somewhere and learn that. A lot of it's gone.
Me coming out of the photo, okay, I'm part of the community, but now I'm other. And to that extent, that's why I chose this photo.
The concert. I was leaving a U2 concert with my partner. We were in high spirits and excited for the show. A man passed by, looked at me, looked at what I was wearing, and scowled. He yelled into my face, "You're taking us back centuries."
This is my story. I felt embarrassed, angry, and shocked all at once. You feel isolated in those moments, and you bury it.
It completely catches you off guard. There's no right way to respond.
When someone says, "You're taking us back centuries," and I'm like, is it this? Is it about the color of my skin? Is it my crutches? What is it?
It's not you, it's them. They have insecurity, they have lack of knowledge. Yes, we are part of the history and we are building the future.
My friends and I will talk on our language, like Filipino or Spanish, and people will say, speak English.
It's okay to be different, and it's okay to celebrate differences. That statement was otherizing, yes.
I remember people saying don't wear hijabs. It's or don't wear things that represent your religion.
This person chose to continue to perpetuate that separation and otherness.
Joy is what gets sucked out in those moments. Being made small for who you are and what you represent and where you come from.
My joy is a radical act, and I'll keep reaching for that.
Every time we break, something better grows out of it. There's resiliency that emerges from all of this, which I find is the power that we walk away with.
After the incident, it was a very different energy, feeling embarrassed, alone, and isolated.
A name change. When I moved to Canada, I hoped for a fresh start, but my name felt like a barrier. People often telling me I didn't speak English, and despite having a master's degree, I couldn't secure a job interview. I had to change my name to Sunny to fit in, to make it easier for others to be hireable. Soon after I changed my son's name, I felt I had to.
It's my story. It still gives me goosebumps. When you come, you are settled, you have everything, and you are fighting for bread to be on the table. Your name is becoming a hindrance to get a job. We changed it and we survived and we are here now. The word is survival. You're losing your identity given to you by your parents, your grandparents. You don't have it now. Now you're living the other people's life, not your life. I'm living the expectation of other people because they are governing my actions. They put me in a glass jar. Unless you fit in it, or you are out.
You created this version of you that's more digestible to everyone else around you. And I totally see that because my nickname is Sunny too. And Sunny is a very different person or version, but then this other version is so that other people feel more comfortable.
We had our traditional names. We had our cultural identity. We had our customs, our ceremonies, what have you. Indigenous people, we understand just as much as what you experienced coming here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And this one made me feel the emotion of like being trapped and unsafe. The home is still standing, but you might be looking outside.
The workplace. I was working with vulnerable youth and providing constructive feedback to management. I'm a passionate person, especially when advocating for kids. Management felt my feedback was aggressive, intimidating, and they felt unsafe. I lost my job. When Caucasian smaller status colleagues expressed similar thoughts in the same fashion, the conversation were labeled a disagreement, constructive criticism, and perspective. And they got to keep their jobs.
This is my story. It made me feel isolated. It made me feel not worthy of expressing myself. And I feel like people try to dim you down.
And then being denied the ability to keep our positions because we spoke truth.
You speak up and you know that it's a gamble and it's most likely not going to go your way.
Kind of saying your truth, especially in the workplace when you're of color or of size. You don't really know if you are quiet. Now being quiet, you're going home and you don't know what opportunity that you lost or what opportunity that you could have given someone by speaking up, but at the same time, do you want to lose your job?
Only color person in the workforce, they will keep you in the job, but they will not even hear you out. You're there because they need to hire somebody in statistics.
You're not just a trophy. We make impact. We part of a change.
This represents when the incident happened, feeling broken, a lot of pieces that I didn't know how to put back together.
I went to a popular LGBTQIA+ club, a safe space, and was excited to embrace my two-spirit identity. I was not uncomfortable in the white dominant environment until I accidentally bumped into someone. When I tried to apologize, it was returned with, "Watch yourself, you dirty, drunk Indian."
That is my story. As an openly two-spirit indigenous queer person, I left the reservation. I was 18 and I wanted to start something new for myself. I wanted to be around like-minded people who were open and accepting and free and liberated. I was so excited to go to this club and I was just having a good time. And when those words were said, kind of made me feel like I couldn't even be myself anywhere. It was hard enough being openly gay on a reservation and feeling really oppressed by my own people. And then when you're gay, a person of color, a person who's indigenous, and you go into these spaces where you think you're gonna be embraced, you're gonna be welcomed. It made me feel really humiliated. And it also felt really dehumanizing. I'm just trying to exist. I'm just trying to feel free, where I thought it would be safe.
There's such a long-standing history of anti-Indigenous discrimination.
I've had this experience where I've had the hope that because you've had an experience like this, you may be able to see my experience being from the periphery as well.
No one is above anyone. No one is below anyone. The only one is above us is Creator, the Great Spirit, the Great Mystery.
The story may not be yours, but these stories are all of ours to own. How will you play a role in a safe Alberta? What can you do? Educate, recreate, stop hate.